we're live. This is Daniel Broniatowski from the Maestro Musicians Academy. We are a music school based in Lexington, Massachusetts, and we serve not just Greater Boston with approximately 150 students in our school, but even the entire world via the World Wide Web with our online music lessons, where we offer violin lessons, piano lessons, cello lessons, guitar lessons, winds, and voice lessons, and pretty much anything else you can think of. We are primarily a school that teaches classical music, but we also have very often gone into the worlds of pop and folk and rock and country. And if you have some particular desires to learn anything specific, we can help. Our website is www.maestromusicianslexington.com, and you can find that in our comments section below once this video is going to be archived. So we do these streams every month, and every month we have a different topic, and the topic is generally pertaining to music education, primarily involving young people, but not always, because we do serve a number of adult students as well. And today's topic is actually a double-barrel one. If you'll forgive me, I'm going to read it directly from a piece of paper here because it's a little bit of a long one. The first part is, what is the best way to determine what kind of song or piece would be challenging and achievable, yet still fun? The second topic is there a rudimentary guideline of how quickly or slowly one should ramp up the difficulty, and will there be consequences to doing so? So, many of you know me that I'm a little bit long-winded, so I hope that my explanations will be interesting to you, and that is my goal, and I'm going to get right into it. So, we're going to talk about the best way to determine what kind of song would be challenging and achievable, yet still fun. So, it's actually a question which we do get asked when people contact us about lessons. They say, well, what is my son or daughter going to learn? What can I expect that they're going to do? You know, he or she really likes particular kinds of music, and we like to have a certain training that allows them to play, you know, something specific. You know, we don't often get that as much with classical musicians, but sometimes people want to play a specific rock song or a pop song, and it's actually a very easy question to answer, because we can find pretty much any arrangement of any song you're looking for, and we can make those arrangements playable at different levels of playing. So what I mean by that is, you know, when someone starts out, although they might not be able to play, you know, more than a couple of lines or maybe even a few bars of a song, you know, I'm talking after the first few weeks, maybe just even some chords, there will get to be a point after a very short time, maybe 6 to 8 months, where they can start playing a certain outline or basic part of a song. And what that means is that, you know, even if they're just playing the chords of a song, that's already the harmony that they can start to kind of hear while they're singing at the same time. Let's say you're playing guitar, for instance, and you're playing chords, and you can start to sing with those chords. That's the most basic way to describe this. Sorry about my phone dinging here in the background. We're still working on a few things here in terms of making our appearance as professional as possible. I'm going to turn that on silent. Anyway, so that is one way we can answer this question. Another way, which is actually also very fundamental when it comes to classical training, is that the answer is already inherently there in terms of what's being taught. Why is that? Well, the reason is because our teachers, especially for piano, will use method books, and those method books take students on a step-by-step approach, which pretty much teaches them through song. You know, when we're doing our lessons, the most common books that piano kids will use are the Faber Piano Adventures or Alfred's Easiest Piano Course. We also have, actually it's John Thompson's Easiest Piano Course, but there's the Alfred's Piano Course for beginners. And whatever the teacher uses, there is a very step-by-step methodology and approach that is employed, and the methods will use different songs which are generally part of our culture today, or in some cases worldwide culture, depending on which method is used. I know that some of the teachers use the older series like James Bastian, and as I mentioned before, John Thompson. Those are a little bit more dated. You know, teachers will generally tend to use whatever they're most comfortable with, and many times they'll use what they used as kids. It's just a very natural thing because, well, you know, if something works, you're comfortable with it. But of course, we don't have a specific methodology that we preach here at Maestro Musicians. We're very open to all kinds of different ideas because we recognize that not every method book will work for every single student. That's just the way things go. So I hope that answered the question about the best way to determine which song to teach. We're going to now move on to the next part. Oh, and by the way, there's also the fun aspect. Yes, every song that we do teach, we want the kids to have fun. That is actually the most important part of the whole experience, because if it's not fun, why do it? Let's be honest, you know. I know that many people would not have that attitude to like math homework, but we're dealing with kids here often who are 5 to 7 years old, and you know, even in elementary school, we want our instructors to make it fun, and of course we recognize as kids get older that there is an element of putting your best foot forward even when things are not fun all the time. But one of our main philosophies is that after a certain point, when you do have to put the pedal to the metal, the experience of being able to be proud of what you're doing, what you've done, actually results ultimately in not just a fun experience, but in a good experience that allows students to really feel proud of what they've done. And that initial desire to have fun eventually will allow students to grow into more of a desire to put their best foot forward, and that is what it's all about. So let's go on to the next part. Is there a rudimentary guideline of how quickly or slowly one should ramp up the difficulty, and will there be consequences to doing so? Again, I refer back to our method books, and I refer back to our teachers' expertise in this one, because you know, one of the things that we need to do in our teaching approach in order to get students from point A to point B is take them on a journey, and that journey has to be step by step. You can't just expect, for instance, that when you've just started to play the violin and you're at the level where you're just learning the notes to play Twinkle Little Star, which does take, you know, 6 months or so, you can't expect that you're immediately going to be able to play a Beethoven sonata or something. You know, I'm just saying for the sake of argument. And I don't think most children or parents do expect that. I think that there is a certain realistic and reasonable expectation that most parents have, and most parents and even students actually, when they're having fun, are quite patient with the whole endeavor. I think when it comes to pop music, maybe there's a little bit more of an expectation. You know, Johnny really wants to play jazz piano, and he's really interested in a specific song or a specific genre. Maybe, you know, he really wants to be able to play and sing to something. Well, that is a more targeted approach that we have to talk about in a realistic sense. And actually, depending on what the song is, my answer will be different as to how achievable that is in a certain amount of time. So there is an element of patience involved, of course, but as I mentioned, just circling back to the beginning of our conversation, at the end of the day, what's going to be the most important is the teacher's ability to create arrangements that are level appropriate, and also the student and the family's ability to have a certain element of patience and realistic expectations of what is possible and what isn't possible. And at the end of the day, our goal, not only as we mentioned before, is to make a fun experience, but also to temper the experience in such a way that there is an understanding that we will get to B from point A, and we'll do it in a way that the student will feel that what he or she is doing is meaningful, fun, I use that word again, and also overall a very positive and affirming experience. Again, this is Daniel Broniatowski from the Maestro Musicians Academy. We are based in Lexington, Massachusetts, serving the greater Boston area and now the World Wide Web, with 150 students currently in our student base. And if you would like to find out more about our lessons, contact us at maestromusicianslexington.com. Look below for more details, and have a great day, everyone.